Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, however, wherever, whenever you're listening. This is the Root for Wisconsin Show Season 5 premiere, episode 153 overall. I'm host producer Eric Fisher, the Big E. Joining me this week, I have Dylan Tritt. Dylan, how the heck are you?
I've been good. It's been a little while, but I've been good.
It has been almost 2 months since the last time we sat down and recorded. And if I'm being honest, I did not expect it to be about 2 months, but we've been pretty freaking busy.
Life sure has been busy. It ramps up in the summer, doesn't it?
It does, and our listeners know by now, or should know by now, if they've listened for a while, that we do usually take a couple weeks off in the summer to kind of embrace the craziness of life, and, well, this go around it ended up being 2 months. So
life has been pretty crazy, so.
It sure has. So we will kind of catch everybody up. I know on TikTok I put a couple pieces out there, a couple highlights on our TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. That if you want to check them out and see some couple pictures of stuff that was going on, by all means, go check them out. But in the meantime, let's get right into the episode today. As always, we start over with our friends over at Raging Pro Wrestling, RPW. They have their next event coming up. It'll be a little bit. Tickets are going fast, though, so you don't want to miss out. You don't want to slack on RPW's tickets for RPW. I mean, the event here. RPW. Goodness gracious. I feel so bad. If they're listening, this is my bad. But my stuff is just being a pain. It looks like in RPW Envision 3 is November 2nd, Saturday, November 2nd at the Big Apple in Manitowoc. RPW Destiny 4 taking place Friday night, November 1st in Manitowoc. So back-to-back nights, thus the confusion. So RPW Destiny 4, followed by the next night, RPW Envision 3. You're not going to want to miss either one of them. Tickets are available but going fast, so be sure to get your tickets for both shows. And it's going to be a blast, as always. I fully expect that we will be there. We missed the last one. June 1st was the last show, and I'm a little bummed we missed. We had some stuff going on. Ramsey and myself and Secretary Shawna were standing up in wedding number 1, as you saw on our TikTok. But we will be November 1st and 2nd probably at the Big Apple in Manitowoc for both back-to-back nights of Raging Pro Wrestling. Tickets available at rpwprowrestling.com. Look sharp in the Fox River Mall as well. Be sure to get your tickets. You don't want to miss out on some of these matches happening, including one 15 years in the making. Mr. Anderson, a.k.a. Mr. Kennedy from his days in WWE, taking on Zilla Fatu, the son of Umaga, who was Umaga's last match in WWE before his passing was against Mr. Kennedy, and now his son taking on Mr. Anderson at at the Big Apple Pub and Grill in Manitowoc. So you don't want to miss it. Look forward to being there for that and not missing out on a dream match 15 years in the making. All right, Dylan. With that, this is usually where we would put what we had rooted for in the last week, but it's been 2 months, and we just have a lot of life to catch up on. So I suppose
we sure
kind
do.
of going through, and as I had mentioned, we had a wedding that 3 of us were in. We had just general summer activities. The Root for Wisconsin wedding bachelor party. I kept when I made that TikTok earlier, I wanted to say, I kept thinking of it like a Game of Thrones thing, like, oh, it's the Red Wedding or the Root for Wisconsin wedding. So the Root for Wisconsin wedding bachelor party Brewer game, which you were fortunate enough to join us with and stand up in the wedding as well about a month later. But Snoop Dogg making an appearance. We were in the same building as Snoop Dogg, which is a sentence I never expected to say.
Yeah, that's a first for me.
So Snoop Dogg hanging out at the Brewer game. We were hanging out at the Brewer game. Did not cross paths with Snoop Dogg. Really disappointed in that. Would have loved to interview him, but he is way bigger than this show ever probably will be. But he did do some play-by-play on the Brewers broadcast, which if you haven't seen that, go treat yourself to YouTube and go find those clips because it is incredibly hilarious.
Yeah, I may have to check those out.
You haven't seen them yet?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it is second to none in terms of entertainment value. And we know that I'm the baseball nerd of the podcast, and I think baseball is already incredibly entertaining, but this takes it to a whole new level.
Yeah, I will definitely have to check that out.
So a couple other things that took place. So we also mentioned, or did not make mention of, but I made my first appearance down at Summerfest this year. Never went to Summerfest before. Took that in for the first time. That is
very nice. Uniquely
Wisconsin. You ever been?
I have been one time. I would say probably 7 or well, let's see. I'm going to be 30 this year, so probably about 7 years ago. I have to admit I was way too intoxicated to form any sort of coherent memory about the situation, but I did make an appearance.
Well, I guess I can't even ask you about your thoughts, but yeah, it is. I didn't know what to expect going into it. I mean, I knew it was downtown Milwaukee, and I knew it just takes over that part of the city, and it's awesome that you're just you're watching concerts next to skyscrapers, and unfortunately for us, the weather did not 100% cooperate with us, but so we were only there for an hour and a half maybe, but that was a hell of an experience.
Yeah, it's an interesting time. If you like music and you don't mind big crowds, have at it.
Other things, 4th of July, we in Wisconsin like to get rowdy and have some fun. And the way that the calendar fell this year, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, Sunday off for me, and getting to enjoy some cold drinks, some good times, and more cold drinks. A little bit of sun, some water. Went river floating a couple times, as we all saw in the TikTok video, or hopefully all saw by now. Shawna is not a nature girl and was presented with a crayfish or a crawfish, whatever you want to call them. But was presented with a crayfish and did not like it one bit. Much to my amusement. I'm glad Ramsey did that.
Oh, I'm sure that was fun.
It really was pretty damn funny. I'll be the first to admit. I think she thinks it's funny now, but she did not in that exact moment.
Those kinds of things typically are more funny in hindsight.
How was your 4th of July, Dylan?
My 4th of July, it was an up and down adventure. I did unfortunately spend a little bit of my 4th of July in the emergency room. I'm not even going to call it a boating accident, but it was an accident involving a boat.
If I may, your boating accident was my dirt bike accident.
Sure.
Essentially.
Something freak and something stupid that'll never happen again, and just very unfortunate timing. So
I will say the difference between the two, though, so very only similar in the fact that yours a boating accident in name only, mine a kind of a dirt bike accident. Yours was your fault.
Yeah.
Mine was not my fault.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
So why? Let's tell the people what happened, Dylan. What occurred?
So my family rented a pontoon boat for the 4th. We were out on Lake Butamore, which, for those who don't know, is on the north side of Oshkosh. Not clean water by any means, but water nonetheless. Boats will float on it, so we were out there. With our pontoon rental also came a tube. You pull a tube behind a pontoon. I mean, you're only going to do so much, but it's better than nothing. And the pontoon, when you open both the gates at the front and the back, it makes like a runway for you to run and jump off, basically.
That checks out.
So my fiance was floating on the tube at the end of the runway. And I was going to jump in the water, but I didn't want to get her wet because she's a baby. So I went to get off that back platform. I'm sorry, the front platform. And I jumped off to the side, off to the left, port side, if you will. And when I planted my left foot at the edge of the boat to jump, my foot slipped. Not forward, not backward. It slipped directly to the left. It was my left foot slipped directly to the left, right into one of the cleats. For those who don't know what a cleat is, it's those metal pieces, those long, thin metal pieces that you wrap the rope around when you dock. And the pointy end went right into the left side of my foot. About an inch, my gash was about an inch wide. I probably went about an inch and a half in. And I didn't realize what happened right away. So I jumped in the water. After I planted and I took off, I felt my foot slip and I felt it smash on the thing. I'm just like, oh, well, that really hurt. Said some derogatory words underneath the water, came up, and then just said, ow, that really hurt.
Derogatory or expletive? I want to be very clear on this.
Hey, let's go expletive. Maybe derogatory. I don't know. I was in the heat of the moment. I don't know.
I'm not going to pry further because I don't want to get you canceled. But
right, fair enough. Excuse me. And so my fiance was like, "Well, just throw your foot up here. I'll take a look at it and make sure it's okay." So I threw my foot up there, no blood or anything. So I'm like, "Okay, well, that's a good sign." And she goes to scrape away what looks like, a piece of dirt or a piece of vegetation off my foot, and she went to scrape it. You don't know what it was. It was dark, right? It wasn't skin. It didn't look like skin. So she went to scrape it away, and she went, and it really, really hurt. And she's like, "That's a hole."
Oh.
So I had a pretty big hole in my foot. Luckily, my brother and his wife are both first aid trained. So we got up on the boat, and they cleaned it out with some water. We wrapped it up, and keep this in mind that this was literally, we got to the sandbar, and this happened like 5 minutes after. So there goes my entire day. I'm sitting on the boat with my foot up. So it did start bleeding a little bit eventually. But
a little bit.
It wasn't a whole lot of blood. I mean, it saturated the bandage. We only had to change the bandage out once or twice. But I mean, we were out there for 4 hours, and it only saturated one gauze pad and then wrap. So it bled a lot, but it slowly.
Okay.
So then we got back to the house, and my brother cleaned it out a little bit more. He's like, "Yeah, you need to go get stitches." I didn't want to, for the reason that the lidocaine shot before they give you. So if you guys haven't got stitches before, what they do is they give you a lidocaine shot.
Lidocaine makes it numb, so it's not supposed to hurt when they sew.
It's not supposed to hurt after the lidocaine kicks in.
Right.
This lidocaine they administer in a very long, very thin needle.
Yeah, not fun.
No. What they do is they if your wound, they pick one side of your wound, they stick the needle all the way through the other side.
That's good. That's good.
And then they administer it as they pull it out. And he had to give me, I think I got 6 or 7 different shots.
Oh.
And my fiance's got a video of it. I'm sitting there like chomping on my finger, breathing's heavy. I have the thing on my arm. My pulse was like 110, 120 beats per minute. But I'll tell you what, I didn't feel a thing when he was stitching me up, though. It was great.
Now, I want to put in some perspective here. Obviously, did not know this occurred in the moment. Was up north doing the floating thing, floating rivers, hanging out with family. Heavily. The only indication that I had about this was I saw your fiance's Facebook story of you sitting in a little like mobile scooter at a grocery store.
Yeah.
And I thought you were just being a dumbass.
I had the crutches on the scooter with me.
Right. Like I said, first glance, I'm like, oh, what's this dumbass doing?
I think that's a fair.
Glance, as I continue watching it, I'm like, oh, he looks hurt. He's supposed to be at my wedding next weekend.
Yeah.
I should probably check in here.
Yeah. Yeah, I was able to walk. So it's interesting. Before I got the stitches, I was able to walk, like on my heel. I had to keep my toes up because it's right in it's not underneath my foot. It's on top of the foot. It's right on the side, right in the meat on the side of my foot. So as you step, that part expands. I'm trying to paint a picture here, Eric.
Yeah.
So I was able to walk on my heel, but after I got my stitches and after the lidocaine wore off, that's when the major pain set in. And I was in so much pain that night. We went back to my parents. I couldn't even eat, and I like to eat. So I was in some major pain. Luckily, my dad's like, "Well, hey, I got some crutches up in the garage if you want them." And I'm like, "Well, she can't carry me, so yeah, I'm gonna need these crutches." Now, these crutches max out at 5'10". I am not 5'10". I am 6'3". So, walking around on those crutches. Let's see, that happened on Thursday. I could finally walk a little bit by Sunday or Monday, without the crutches, uncomfortably, but I could do it. And then, by Saturday, by wedding day, I was moving around pretty well. Granted, I had a lot of pain meds in me, but yeah, it's pretty much back to normal now. It's pretty much completely healed up, but yeah, what a good weekend for that.
So I know we're kind of going through like the quote unquote root force section. If there was a noogie to be given during this saga of events, where would the noogie be going in your book?
To the person who put the cleat right there.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm totally kidding. No,
yeah.
It was me. It was me. I should have just splashed my fiance. In hindsight, I absolutely should have just got her soaking wet. Just jumped, cannonballed right next to her, or done that, whatever that jackknife thing is, where you can control where the splash goes. That's what I should have done.
Now, how big of a tube are we talking? Is it like a completely flat one, or she's sitting in it like a?
Oh, it's like a flat one,
like a donut tube.
No, it was a flat one.
And now, how big?
Let's see. My sister-in-law, and my fiance all fit on it. I wouldn't say it was tight, but they fit on it. You can fit two guys on it. Two average size guys, probably.
I ask all this just to, as opposed to splashing her, would it have been possible to catapult her off of the tube by you landing on it?
Yes, it would have. But I fear I would no longer be engaged if I did that.
I don't think she'd be that mad at you.
No, it was just a joke. But no, see, I care about her, So if she expresses that she doesn't want me to splash her, I'm going to try not to splash her.
But it put a hole.
Yes, that's the thing. In hindsight, I should have just splashed her. So noogie goes to me.
Okay, I had to ask.
Mm-hmm.
So that takes us to wedding day, the Rupert, Wisconsin wedding, which between myself, Secretary Shawna, probably I don't know if she hates or loves being called Secretary Shawna. I've kind of really just embraced it, as a lot of our listeners have. I think it's kind of funny, if I'm being honest. Kind of like how Jim Rome calls his wife Dodger Jan or Dodger Janet, the Secretary Shawna. And for what it's worth, she does do quite a bit of the behind the scenes type secretarial stuff that is way above my pay grade. So first of all, this is a shout out to her for doing that kind of stuff. Even our TikToks, before I post them, she gives a final approval to make sure they don't suck.
That's fair.
So anyway, I said this. The wedding went well. I was fortunate enough to have family, friends, everyone surrounding us. She would be on the episode, but she is at a conference in Madison for work this week, which has played out very well for me. We'll get to that a little bit later in the episode, but played out very well for me personally. So very well timed conference, but yeah, it was truly had all of our River Wisconsin cast were involved in the wedding. Sean being one of the best men, Ramsey the other, obviously myself and Shawna and Dylan, groomsman, and Justin a groomsman as well. So all of our hosts standing up by our side and having a great day. I mean, a little warm at the church in the morning before the AC really got kind of going, but really the only complaint in my book, I mean, you don't have to sugarcoat it if you had any other complaints, but
no, that was my only complaint was it was hot. It was hot, but the beer was cold, so it evens out.
So yeah, I mean, we had wanted to give quick shout outs to St. Mary's here at De Pere for hosting us and having the wedding ceremony. Green Bay Distillery, Mike and his team over there, and Kaylee, the events coordinator. I cannot say enough good things about our experience with them. A quick story. Our third date, Shauna's first time coming to Green Bay on a date with me. We went there for dinner before we went and did whatever we had going on that night. And Mike, the owner, comes up and says, "Hey, when's the big day?" And if you could have seen how big Shauna's eyes got by this mention, it's like a third or fourth date. She goes, "Oh," I'm like, "Oh yeah, Mike, we just started dating. This is like our third date." And he goes, "Oh, well, when the time comes, you come to me. I'll make you an offer you can't refuse." So she looks at me. He walks away. We chat a little bit, but he walks away, and she says, "Well, what was all that about?" I'm like, "Well, that's the owner. I know him really well from all the stuff we have at the radio station here. And if this works out, this is where it's going to be. Like, this is a very non-negotiable in my book. Not knowing what the deal would be. But obviously here we are, and wasn't even a doubt in both of our mind. The food, always great there. The venue as a whole, I mean, it was really the lighting, everything that they did to help us out make it with all the decorations that we had and made and everything to that effect. Cannot say enough good things about our time there and our day. And I got to marry Secretary Shawna, one of my I should say probably my best friend, so contributor to the program, teammate, all that crap, which I don't know if I should be saying crap with that, but I am. She's not here.
Yeah. Yep. She can't here to defend herself. So
cliche after cliche, 100% accurate. So yeah, it's glad that it happened. Glad that we're past it, because as I'm sure anybody who's gotten married beyond just a courthouse wedding, which there's nothing wrong with, you guys are smarter than us. Wedding planning sucks, and it's worth it. I loved it, but I am so glad that it is in the past. A lot of memories, awesome day. I hate planning. I'm not a planner. And planning something to that scale really takes it out of you.
I'm sure. Yeah.
So, all in all, like I said, very positive. Great day, surrounded by family, friends. I know we haven't sent out our formal thank yous yet. It's been pretty busy in the immediate aftermath, but those will be coming. But I do want to thank everyone who came and had any part of the day being special. It was best day of my life.
Best day of your life so far.
Yes, Homer Simpson.
Thank you for getting that reference.
Yes. So thank you to our wedding party, our family, our friends, and just everybody who had any sort of part in the day. After the wedding, Sean and I went on a little, not quite a honeymoon, and I hate the term mini moon, but I mean, it's pretty much what it was. Did a day down in the Dells, went to the unofficial, official Wisconsin's #1 supper club, Ishnala in Wisconsin Dells, which, if you haven't been there, the hype is real. And I'll do this in a later episode when Shawna's here as well. But the hype is warranted. Old fashions were great. Wisconsin's best old fashioned per number of different magazines and travel blogs, whatever. Incredible views, incredible food, like incredible food. But just not enough superlatives. Like I said, we'll probably cover that in another Root for Wisconsin episode. But went there for a day and an evening. Stayed at an Airbnb off Lake Poygan. Spent one of the days kind of just bumming around Oshkosh. Another day just kind of relaxing. And then back to the grind of work for a couple days. But leads me to my last point here, Dylan, and I said I would do it later in the episode, but I'm going to do it now. The return of college football video games, EA Sports College Football 28 or 25, came out a week ago today for everybody. Came out a couple days early for those who bought the deluxe edition, but a week ago, 11 p.m. Central, College Football 2025 dropped for the world. And my goodness, very rarely does something that's 10 years in the making, so anticipated, live up to the hype, live up to expectations. Even in recent memory with, EA Sports produces Madden every single year. A lot of people hoping it wasn't just going to be like a rehashed Madden with different uniforms.
Mm-hmm.
A night and day different game in the best way possible, just like it had been when the game was initially in production. I don't think it's hyperbole to say it is probably the best football video game I have played. Maybe comparing it to NFL 2K5, is one of those loftier ones. I think this is the first one that even has the same breadth, if not better, and that is 2 generations of gaming ago. So 2004 essentially to now is 20 years. This is the best product that I have played, and it's easily, without a doubt, easily the best video game. Actually, 3 generations of gaming ago, because that was PS2. So 3, 4, now 5. The best video game experience I have had in the short week or so that I've had to play it. But graphics are phenomenal. The gameplay is phenomenal. The physics, the functionality. They managed to get the traditions and a lot of this, the stadium songs, everything to that effect. Just, I really cannot put into words how much effort and work and how great the team at EA Sports did on this, which also makes me say big shout out to the education conference in Madison that Shawna is at, because I have had a few nights now of no responsibilities, no tasks, to just unwind and play a lot of college football.
The honey-do list is empty, huh?
Not necessarily. It just hasn't been done.
Okay.
The honey-do list was very short, but there is more to do than not. To which I would respond, it takes a lot of work. Now, before the wedding, when we were chit-chatting around the rehearsal dinner, I had told you, John, and Justin that, quote, winning never gets old. I'm not really a builder when it comes to this game, end quote. Justin was talking about recruiting and starting as an offensive coordinator, and I believe the term I had used for him was a nerd.
Yes, I believe that's accurate.
Usually I would start with a program like Wisconsin or Notre Dame or whatever. Just go with one of the top programs right away and actually have fun and play the style of football that I'd want to play and just win from the get-go. I'm clearly saying this to say that I caved. I will say a week ago tomorrow, or a week ago today as this episode releases, after I finished downloading the game and had it ready to go, I did play a one-off just kind of exhibition game to kind of get a feel for it. I was Wisconsin, took home the axe against Minnesota, played the full game, woke up an hour and a half before I had to start work so I could get that game in, and just experience the game before it was sitting in my office torturing me all day.
Yep, that's fair.
Because I fully expected that to be just sitting there. And on top of it, Secretary Shawna, she tutors and stuff during the summer. She nannies a couple of days for our niece. She had no responsibilities to do last Friday. So she had the audacity to sit in my office and play NCAA football in front of me.
Oh.
While I'm attempting to work. I would call that rude, typically.
I'm just going to interject and call that disrespectful.
But I was very proud of her because she's actually not terrible at it.
That's good. Now you can have the multiplayer.
I'm quite proud of, from what I've seen her play in Madden the couple times that I've let her play or had her play alongside. Significant upgrades. So I don't know if she's constantly practicing or not, but I'm assuming not. But she picked it up real quick and very proud of the efforts that she put in on that Friday afternoon.
Good for her.
Anyway, so I say all this to say, as I said, I caved. I started a dynasty as an offensive coordinator at North Texas, leading the Mean Green. And first season, now in the books after Tuesday night. I played for probably about 4 or 5 hours. Offense only, because I was being a coordinator. Took the North Texas Mean Green out of the American Athletic Conference all the way to the College Football Playoff National Semifinal game. Had a first-round bye. Kicked the crap out of Virginia Tech and ended up losing by a touchdown to Oregon. Heisman Trophy winner, year number 1, my wide receiver, over 2,000 receiving yards. I believe I set a new NCAA record in passing touchdowns. Just slinging the ball around, a lot of slot corner and slot post routes, especially in the American Athletic Conference. Not as great defensively, so I had some willpower, and you use the transfer portal a little bit. Really lets you build your program right away. I will say, now this is in dynasty mode as an offensive coordinator, have not really come across any NIL stuff. I think that's more on the road to glory, like player mode. as it should be. The transfer portal, having managed that now twice, once the initial season building and now coming out of my first off season at North Texas, managing both the transfer portal and new recruits, it is a lot to take in. My only regret, wish I would have built up the offensive line just a little bit more. As I built my schedule in year number 2 to take on some tougher competition in the pre-conference season. First game of the season had a college football quarterfinal rematch against Virginia Tech, went into Blacksburg, got a pretty big dub for the Mean Green. Hosted Wisconsin in week number 2 in North Texas and Denton, Texas. That was a grind. That one, they got to me a little bit, but was able to pull out a win. And since then, it's been pretty smooth sailing for the Mean Green in year number 2. The question I think I'm going to face, depending on after how season 2 goes, is looking to jump as a head coach to a different program, or if my head coach were to leave, do I stay at North Texas and continue on? Or do I look to jump to a Power 5 as an OC? The opportunity did arise to jump to my home college at University of Wisconsin. After year number 1 as an offensive coordinator, that job quickly filled, so I did not end up taking it as I was still in season in the college football playoff with the Mean Green. But so I ended up staying put for 1 year, but that's kind of where I'm at right now.
So what was the process of picking North Texas? Was it just a random decision, or was it calculated at all?
I started in, I had Wisconsin picked. Like I was kind of, I had picked them. You either get the option to continue as their current OC or create your own. I created my own, so it's Coach Rick Fish. I had started to type it up, and I'm like, I only get an opportunity this first time once. So I decided not to go with Wisconsin. I thought about Virginia Tech. Gave that a click for a second as well, as they are not ranked as high as Wisconsin is in the game. Would have been a little bit of a build, but starting right with the ACC didn't seem right either. But I didn't want to really quite go down to some of those lower conferences. So the AAC is solid conference. North Texas, rather on the rise. I mean, they've been relevant in college basketball a couple years now. College football, they've had some noise. Playing in the same conference as Tulsa, who has made some moves and made some noise. Playing in the same conference as Army. So I mean, it was one of those decisions where kind of some cool uniform combinations kind of kicked in. I don't think I have worn their true home jerseys once, because they have it's an all green, Kelly green, kind of like the Philadelphia Eagles throwbacks. Not really a huge fan of those, but they do have an all black alternate with green numbering, which is my usual home jersey. So the uniforms did come into play a little bit. Some air raid offense. I knew I was going to throw the ball a lot, and when playing that, said you got to build the offensive lineup to get a couple, or to get the running game going a little bit more to keep defenses honest. But that was more or less the thought process. Cool name, the Mean Green of North Texas. A pretty solid stadium down in Denton, and it looks like a good program where I could come in and enough to build and make better, but not enough where I was going to have to actually struggle. A very solid first opportunity as an offensive coordinator for me, or for Coach Rick Fish.
Is offensive coordinator that and head coach, are those the only 2 positions you can start out at, or can you start? You
can start as a defensive coordinator if you choose to.
Very cool.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I cannot imagine starting as a defensive coordinator, because people who enjoy playing video game defense are kind of sick to me. If I'm being honest, it's not my thing.
That was gonna be one of my follow-up questions too. Was do you play defense? But you already answered that one. So
You do have the option to if you would like to. I don't. Unless I'm, really committed to only playing like one game. I like the fact that I can go offense only and put up the points that I do. But it is something I have played a couple times here when I've done a couple warm-up games to kind of get used to the game. Have played some defense. It is kind of tricky. I'll be the first to say. Part of the reason I don't do it is because I have not practiced it enough, and I'm not really good at it yet. It is a tricky way to get used to it. It is not, and it's in a good way. It is not the same as it is in Madden. The defensive physics a lot different. You have to be a lot more tactical in college football, because one thing I think the game does really well is it does make a significant difference when you are playing against either upper talents, like North Texas going against Oregon. Or, they do have a couple of the fake FCS schools. For example, the FCS West Astronauts is to a team I played today, or this evening, and there is a very significant skill difference when you're playing down too. And as a program on the rise, I made a very, in true UW Green Bay alum fashion, I did make a very hard non-conference schedule for myself this season in season number 2. So that is even more incentive to keep offense only, unless it's in a big moment where I don't trust what my computer defense is going to do. Sometimes I will hop in and play. But it is very few and far between.
Interesting. Okay.
But highly recommend it to all the console. I'm not sure if they made a PC version. I do know it is next-gen console, so Xbox, I believe it's the Xbox One. I'm not even sure what their console is called anymore, because I think they've had the Xbox One for a couple of different things now. But PlayStation 5, Xbox One, or Xbox One X, or whatever the hell they call it, I don't know. But worth the hype if you're contemplating it. By all means, go do it.
It will not be on PC. I cannot find anything saying that it will be. I found a few things saying it will not be on PC. So, you console gamers, enjoy.
So, that pretty much takes us to present day from where we left off. I'm sure I'm missing a few things here and there, but
2 months is a long time. It all kind of blends together after a little while.
Yeah. We do have plenty of sports to talk about in the meantime, so let's hop into that. Because really, I got to be honest, I really don't have any noogies. And I know we had yours based on the boating accident, but
yeah,
it's been a pretty positive couple months. I really can't. I mean, I guess I would give one just the general idea of wedding planning.
It's a scam.
It is 100% a scam. So that's really kind of where I'm at on that. But yeah, aside from that,
I do have a sports related one. Not necessarily Wisconsin. Not a Wisconsin related one. Olympic soccer. We all know cheating happens in sports. It does happen. Unfortunately.
If you ain't cheating, you're not trying.
That's right. Who was that wrestler that always wore that shirt that said "cheat to win"? Was that Shawn Michaels?
I don't know what that was, but I do know Eddie Guerrero was a lie, cheat, steal.
No, there was one. I'm pretty sure. I think it was Shawn Michaels who wore a shirt that said "cheat to win." But anyway, we all know cheating happens in sports, and all the teams do it. It's just more of a matter of who gets caught and who doesn't get caught. Well, my noogie is going to someone.
For what it's worth, it was also Eddie Guerrero. Cheat to win.
Oh, both of them wore the cheat. Oh, no. Was it just Eddie Guerrero that wore it?
From what I can tell.
Okay.
Yeah, well, it was part of his tag team Los Guerreros as well.
Okay. I thought it was Shawn Michaels, but okay. My noogie is going to somebody who got caught. So that is going to be Canada's women's national team head coach, Bev Priestman. She has officially been removed from the country's Olympic team over a scandal involving the use of drones to spy on opponents' practices. Now, I have never been like a formal head coach of anything more than like a bunch of little kids running around for fun, right? Certainly, I've never been in a head coaching situation anywhere near anything like the Olympics. But if I were, I think I would realize that the Olympic Games are one of, if not the most seriously taken sporting events, athletic competitions ever. There are officials everywhere. And if I'm going to cheat, I'm probably not going to do it with a drone flying over the field in the view of whoever can look up. You know, I haven't read the full article yet, so I'm not sure if she was the one flying the drone or
That was going to be my exact next question. Was she the one sitting there holding a controller?
I
or
would
what, like an intern somewhere?
I would go on a limb and say she had someone doing it. But I just don't understand for the life of me. Like, why? Why get all the way that far? Like, you had to qualify for this. You don't just automatically get a bid. Why waste it by cheating? I just don't understand that. Why would you give the thumbs up on that and disgrace your entire country? At least to me, that's you know, if who's our new head coach here on the women's, Emma Hayes. You know, she worked really hard to get in the position that she's in. The team worked really hard to get to where they're at. And I would be very disrespected by them getting caught cheating. Like, just play.
So I did click on the ESPN article just as you were kind of going through this. I had not heard about this prior to you mentioning it, and I got a notification right as you were mentioning it.
Yeah, it's a news story. It dropped like
within the last hour.
Yeah, like 40 minutes ago it dropped.
It does not say indeed who was flying, but two staff members have been sent home prior, including a guy with the name that we would all be familiar with, and Joseph Lombardi. The Canada Soccer Analyst is his title. She did sit out the team's first game, which took place today, a 2-1 win over New Zealand. She sat it out to show accountability, her quote. But at practice yesterday, had, quote, no knowledge of the drone use. So to me, this seems like one of two things. One, and I will say it is a possibility, which she is still responsible for, but a possibility that one, she was not aware of what her assistants were doing in this, in their scouting details, which I find kind of unlikely that an assistant, like you said, would be that overwhelmed from a pretty reputable team. I mean, this isn't like a Jamaican bobsled team that has no, quote unquote, no business being in the event prior to it happening. This is, in women's soccer, is one of probably about the 3 teams or 4 teams maybe that are a perennial threat to win a full tournament between the U.S., Sweden, and China or Japan, and then Canada. So definitely a shock there. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I mean, I guess if she truly had no knowledge of it, she should know. You know, if you're getting high up drone footage for scouting, something is probably amiss. But
I think I'm going to agree with you based on another part of the article here that I'm going to read. Quote, the announcement followed a report from TSN that both Canada's women's and men's soccer teams have used drones to record opponents' closed-door training sessions for several years, including during the women's team's gold medal winning Tokyo Olympic tournament in 2021. End quote. So if it's going on at that point, there's no way she doesn't know about it.
right.
I shouldn't say there's no way because I don't know for sure. I'd say it is highly unlikely that she doesn't know about it. And perhaps
I would give it a 1% chance, if not less.
Right. And I can see her kind of doing the, well, I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that you're doing that kind of thing. And what I don't know, wink, wink, doesn't kill me or doesn't hurt me. Maybe that's the case. Summarize the information that you're getting, but don't tell me how you're getting it. I don't know. I'm going to guess more information about this is going to come out.
Yeah, I'm sure. I just cannot fathom. Like you said, I mean, this has been going on allegedly for 3+ years now.
Or at least since the last Olympic Games in Tokyo in 21.
Yeah. So
where they won gold, where the women won gold. So there's your asterisk on that gold medal right there.
Allegedly. I don't want to condemn them and give them an asterisk before one is present, but yeah, I'm pretty. This is again a news story, so you're getting initial reactions here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say. I guess I'm surprised in the sense that I would have never thought that you could really get that much from drone footage. I mean, kudos to them, I guess, but especially if they're out there winning gold in the Olympics 2023 or 2021. Like you said, though, how do you not, you're practicing, and I know, you're watching your team, you've got assistant coaches working with different position groups, et cetera, but how does no one at any point just kind of look up and be, that shouldn't be there?
Yeah, who's recording us?
Yeah.
No place for that, and like you said, maybe she has no knowledge of it, but at the end of the day, she's in charge of her team, and while it does, if her assistants or an assistant's assistant was the one recording, the responsibility still falls there. So
I gotta ask, because I have had no part of any level of soccer. A, way too much running. B, wasn't even in Gillette. I think it might be the closest one was Shawna, but I played real sports. That's a joke. Dylan was a soccer player.
I was.
So I gotta ask, I mean, how much would that even be useful? Because, I mean, soccer as a whole, on top of what you already get for film, I mean, you get the TV broadcast. I'm sure you get, other scouting areas of scouting film available. Are you really getting that much from practice with a drone? Because there's only so many formations and so many,
Right.
If this was football, you have trick plays that you can kind of do and kind of can predict, but basketball, I guess, kind of same thing with set plays. But I, as an outsider to soccer, and having played my fair share of FIFA, there's really, in my opinion, as an outsider, there's not a whole lot I think you could really gain from that.
Well, I'm not a savant when it comes to soccer, but let's put it in terms of sports we do know. Football, for example, there is only so many plays you can run on a football field, and you have approximate knowledge of what a team is going to do, but watching them, knowing what they're going to do, is always going to be better than approximate knowledge. And especially when you're an Olympic team, and this is a good Olympic team, obviously they won the Olympics in 2021. The slightest little competitive edge can be the difference, So, whether, for the sake of the argument, let's assume that they weren't actually cheating in 21. They clearly didn't need to cheat this year, right? They're the defending Olympic champions. They're like you said, they're not a slouch. So I don't know why you even bother resorting to cheating. I just don't see it. I don't see it being necessary. But
I mean, this really, to me, the other takeaway I have from this immediately is it seems like kind of one of those rules that violates the spirit of the game, but probably doesn't actually have that much impact. I mean, it's kind of like I look at it like the college football like sign stealing thing that was at Michigan. I mean, there's probably, with the film that you can get as a coach, I feel like there's probably enough where you can see, hey, given that college football is stupid in the aspect that they don't have, the microphones in the helmets, like you have to either get it radioed in or you have to get it like signaled in with hand signs, or you'll see the big boards with like 4 pictures on it.
Yeah.
I feel like there's enough in plain view on it, like even a TV broadcast or the all-22 film, like in the NFL, that you get access to as a fan, let alone as a team, where you can probably get a pretty good guess of what's going on and what's happening anyway, combined with the fact that these are people who are paid to know like what's going on.
Right. I'm sure.
So I get the principle of these things, and even like sign stealing in baseball. I mean, the whole Astros thing, I never really put a whole lot of stock into. Maybe I'm in the minority on that, but I guess I don't think it'd probably be that much of an advantage. And again, maybe it's like you said, the micro inch that helps you get just a little bit of an edge to plan for that gold medal game and get you from a silver to a gold, or get you from a elimination game to a qualifier. I don't know, but
right.
I think it's one of those that kind of, it's more against the principle than actual impact.
Yeah, it's disrespectful to the game. That's how I've always seen cheating.
I mean, hats off to them, though. I wouldn't have had the balls to use a drone.
No, gosh, no.
Because it's so, I mean, unless you're getting like a tiny one with just, it's all camera, someone's going to see it.
So quiet, too.
Someone's going to see it. I was at Paperfest over last week watching the Glam Band. So I have a hair metal cover band playing, I don't know, 30 yards from me, if that. And I can still hear the little drone that they had for camera or for footage, and you can very much notice it at any point. Like, this is not sneaky. Like,
it's not subtle. It's not subtle.
No, and like you can't not notice it.
Yeah.
It would take one water boy to just be like, hey, what the hell?
Is that one of our? Hey, coach, is that one of our drones? That's it.
Yeah.
Unless
they're practicing at the same time and just being like, hey, no, that's ours. It's pointed that way, and the camera's actually pointing the other way.
These are closed practices.
Yeah, I don't know.
No. So, like you said, very early reaction. This is a very recent report, so these are just initial reactions. But
all right, let's move on to sports that we know things about. First and foremost, as we hit the 1 hour mark here in our episode, I want to give a quick shout out to our friends over at the Green Bay Blizzard. As you can see from the shirt that I'm wearing, Dylan, and a video that will be posted likely by the time this episode airs. Green Bay Blizzard Indoor War IFL Playoffs beginning tomorrow night. Shawna and I will be in attendance at the game, thanks to some tickets from our listener Jordan, and the team reaching out with them and kind of hyping them up. But we've had a member of their front office on this show way in the past, our first season. That support never has gone away, so always proud of them and whatnot. But playoff football is back in Green Bay, and it's only July. And really excited for, I've kind of followed the team along and watched on the YouTube broadcast. If you're not able to make it to the Rush Center, which you should by all means, tickets $10, plenty of giveaways, plenty of incentive, $2 beers. By all means, if you're not going already, you should. There are still, I believe, a decent amount. I know that they've eclipsed 4,000 tickets because of the giveaways that they have going on, but tickets are still available. You should be there. Indoor football, it's fast-paced. It's 50-yard field. And a very special team in Green Bay this year. From everything, everything they've accomplished this season already, putting up points. You're not going to miss it. It's a unique experience. However, if you can't get there, games are broadcast on YouTube for free. It's not part of YouTube TV. It's just on YouTube. Search Indoor Football League or Green Bay Blizzard to watch along. But this is my pitch. On top of the social media that we're doing, you should be there by all means. Come to the restaurant tomorrow night. So want to shout them out on a great season so far, and as they have said, they're kind of their mantra for the playoffs. One more. They want one more. One more after that one, and one more, and one more. So that is, again, like I said, their mantra. A 13-3 season this year, Dylan. 7-1 at home, 6-2 on the road. They will be playing the Quad City Steamwheelers, who they have played very well as a whole throughout the season. The last time out, they did lose 27-37 in the Quad Cities, but prior to that, a 64-36 win back in May and a 32-24 win back in April. So, Indoor Football League, the road to the championship game out in Las Vegas, starts and runs through Green Bay. You're not going to want to miss it. Championship game, August 17th. Be there starting tomorrow night. $10 tickets. Let me go through a couple of the other deals that they have going on as well. $10 tickets. First 1,000 fans get some free beef jerky. $2 hot dogs, $2 sodas, $2 Bud products, $3 12-ounce smoothies, 2 for $4 Hot Pockets, and a quarter of 90s music. More to come. If you're not like me and you don't have a Blizzard shirt, they do have the premium playoff shirt for $40 or $20 for the standard playoff shirt. One more 2024 playoffs available at the Rush Center. One more mentality. Green Bay Blizzard Indoor Football League. Doesn't get better than that. Playoff football in July, leading into Packer football. All eyes on this, though. That's my pitch.
Right on. Go Blizzard.
Have you been to a Green Bay Blizzard game, Dylan?
I don't believe I ever have been to a Blizzard game. Maybe many years ago when I was younger, but.
What are you doing tomorrow night?
It's a good question.
$10 tickets, Rush Center. Be there.
I'll get there if I can.
I don't know what would be stopping you. You said you don't know what's going on. $10 tickets. All those all those great deals to get in the door.
As long as the beer's cold and cheap.
$2 beers, $2 soda, $2 hot dogs. What else do you need?
That's a pretty good deal.
So that is my pitch for the Green Bay Blizzard. Do have a TikTok kind of talking about that a little bit more as well. And again, if you haven't been, you need to. Go on YouTube today or tonight. This is your homework, Dylan. Between now, I guess now and when you go to bed, but you go to bed probably in about 20 minutes or whenever we get done recording. So, go just look up the style of the game. You can find full games on YouTube. And again, come out to the indoor war in the playoffs at the Rush Center tomorrow night. 7:05 kickoff.
Yeah, I'll make that if I can.
I fully expect you to be there. I'm not going to lie to you. At this point, I'm fully expecting it.
All right.
All right. Anyway, couple other things here. Milwaukee Brewers are in first place in the NL Central at 59-43. They have a 6-game lead on the St. Louis Cardinals. Brewers are off tonight. They will have a 3-game set here against the Marlins over the weekend, part of a long homestand. Only a 6-game homestand. The long one is in mid-August, but 6-game homestand, Miami and Atlanta, going into the trade deadline, which will be next Tuesday. So 6 games up on the Cardinals in the division, 59-43. And as mentioned, trade deadline less than a week away. Probably biggest needs right now, I'd say starting pitching. I would like to see one more starter. Plenty of options out there. And the one that I think that no one was really hoping for or expected until the last 24 hours or so might need another proven bat in the lineup. Christian Yelich having the back injury flare up, and reports initially were fearing season-ending surgery. Reports coming out tonight that he may be able to avoid that, is going to go with kind of a rest method first to see if he's able to kind of hold off on that.
Which is good.
Yeah, definitely very good. Avoids potentially, he's going to try a non-surgical comeback from the back injury. Yelich is the current NL batting champ, leading all of National League in batting average. Was an all-star starter for the first time since 2019. And playing at a true MVP level again. So really sucks to see the timing of the injury. It's never good when anybody gets injured, but specifically when your MVP candidate and all-star starter gets injured as the playoff push really kind of begins. That's less than ideal all the way around.
Yeah, you just hope that, in this, at least in the NL Central, we've got a 6-game lead over the Cardinals. You just hope that the rest of the squad can hold on to that.
One of the nice things is Green Bay. Milwaukee does have a very deep outfield within the farm system. It was kind of talked about being possibly able to dangle some of those guys, or one of those guys, or two of those guys even, as trade bait for pitching. Now you're going to kind of be in a position to see if that's going to still be the case, or if you're going to hold off and see if you can get by with what you got, or maybe get a bat. If there are guys out there that might be able to step in and kind of not necessarily replace Yelich, because with a guy hitting 315 and a 406 on base percentage, that's going to be tough to completely replace. But if you can kind of mitigate it a little bit and get by, maybe shore up the pitching a little bit so you don't have to score as much.
No, and you just hope some of the other guys can step it up too.
That's obviously the hope. It does. I'm very curious on how this is going to impact, like I said, trade possibilities, or if they're still going to go full send, which Milwaukee is in rarefied air as a small market team. Usually a small market team has about a 2 or 3 year window. This is entering year number 6 of this current window of win now and being very, very good. Credit to the Brewers front office, and I'm sure they have some sort of plan, and they have contingencies and plans for plans and backup plans for those plans for plans. So here we sit. We see what they're going to do, but first place cannot complain coming on the All-Star break. Took a 2 out of 3 from the Chicago Cubs. Ended up winning the overall season series against the Cubs, 8-5 for the season, which always feels good no matter who's in charge, but even a little bit better with Craig Counsell at the helm. Swept the Twins over the 2-game weekend series, so coming out of the All-Star break 4-1 out of that All-Star break, and coming home for that 3-game set against the Miami Marlins, who are scuffling a little bit, 37-66 on the year. That would put them at dead last in the National League standings, but some stars on that team as well that you cannot ignore. So
they're professionals for a reason.
They are professionals for a reason, and it is going to be a tough 3-game set here. Freddie Peralta will get the ball Friday night for the first game of the series. So 6:10 or 7:10 first pitch tomorrow night. If you're not at the Rush Center, be down at AmFam. Take in some sports. I mean, that's really what it's coming down to. Take in some live sports this weekend. It is a perfect weekend for it. It's going to be warm, but it's going to be you're not going to want to miss what's going on. So 3-game set at AmFam. Freddie Peralta on the bump tomorrow night. Within the farm system, Brewers farm system, 2 teams, first half champs. Starting with the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers making their return to the postseason, already have clinched the first half championship in the Midwest League, and will be going back to the playoffs, I believe, for the first time since 2018 or 2019, that they'll be making a return to the postseason. So shout out to the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers. Second half at 17-8, so taking care of the Midwest League Midwest Division. Currently game and a half up on Cedar Rapids in that one as well. And then I believe it was the Carolina Mudcats also making a playoff appearance as the first half champs in the low A level. Yeah, first half champs for the Carolina Mudcats down in the Carolina League. So Brewers farm system playing at a very high level as well as the big league team. And all in all, just a good time to be a Brewer fan. And the Biloxi Shuckers currently leading the second half Southern League standings at 15-8. And as for AAA in the International League with the Nashville Sounds, they're at 13-10 for the second half. So some very high-level baseball being played all the way around the Brewers farm system and the Brewers Major League Club as well. This usually would be the time where we go through our Northwoods League rundown. Fortunately, though, actually, I was going to say fortunately my app is not updated, but Dylan, wouldn't you know, it is. I've not been to a Northwoods League game this season. Kind of bummed about that because I think it would be, that is a good product. The Green Bay Rockers, the defending Northwoods League champs, have scuffled a little bit this season. 14-22 on the season in the Great Lakes West overall, or excuse me, that's for the first half. Not too much better overall, 24-30 overall in the season. So it's been some rough sledding in coming off the championship. Obviously, rosters are night and day different, so it's don't have a whole lot of carryover year to year, with it being a college wood bat summer league. But plenty of fun to be had in the Northwoods League I think my favorite team so far, beside, obviously I do root for our Green Bay Rockers, but the Madison Mallards playing down at the Duck Pond in Madison have had some of the coolest promotions, including stand-up comedy night, which they have done as a tribute to the late Chris Farley with his Matt Foley character, and having kind of the blue jacket and the blue and white plaid jacket, a van down by a river as a logo, and
very nice.
A couple appearances. They've had a couple other ones too, but I think that one's one of the coolest. Still waiting on somebody to send me a Madison Mallard's Chris Farley night hat, but I might have to buy one myself. So we'll see.
That'd be a great grab.
It would be. It really would be. So that is our baseball talk on the evening. Before we get into the Packers, I have a noogie. This one kind of just coming to me in the moment. As we all know, I'm a pretty active social media user.
You are, yes.
And I've acquired some haters.
Yes. And
honestly, it's incredibly funny to me. I'm not even going to lie to you. I think it's hilarious. So the noogie is not to the haters. The noogie is for why the haters. Like, it is a tweet that I fired off, I think sitting with you, having lunch, about calling BJ Freeman a tool.
Yeah, I was there for that. I do remember that.
And it's something I really didn't put much thought into. I very much respect the game of BJ Freeman. He kicked the crap out of Green Bay twice, including the elimination game of which the Green Bay Phoenix men's basketball team was eliminated from the Horizon League Conference tournament. So, I mean, I'm glad he's out of the Horizon League. My rivalry with him stopped that moment he went to Arizona. I don't care. But man, oh man, did the Milwaukee Normal School people, that they run with that. And
yeah, you've been taking some heat.
Their entire personality. And I'm not innocent in this. Like I said, I have dabbled in it. I have fired back a time or two here and there. But like I said, I gotta say, like, for something that I have put no thought into, and have not put much thought into since then, to find out that's what did it. I mean, I'm sure they have plenty of reasons. Like, I've tweeted out enough stuff. But calling BJ Freeman a tool, a guy who was there for 2 years and has now transferred, that is some derangement that is not seen this side of politics. I mean, I guess, almost kind of credit to them for being so hung up on it, because it's something that does not impact me. I got burner accounts, man. I have a burner account dedicated from the first burner account that started some of the hatred, where there are only 2 tweets are retweets of the first burner account. So I think I'm 3 burner accounts in.
Wow.
Somebody basically created a Twitter account to retweet those initial posts.
Wow. That's kind of impressive.
I'm kind of happy. I'm kind of proud of that. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I agree.
I know Shawna hates it, and I very much, it's valid as to why she does. She doesn't want to see me hurt or anything like that. She doesn't like people coming after me like that. She doesn't find it funny, but I think this is utterly hilarious, if I'm being honest. Like, this part of it specifically. The fact that somebody saw a burner account that I don't really interact with and said, you know what? I need to make a new burner account to retweet those.
Yeah, some people just don't have enough time. I'm sorry, they have too much time in the day, and they choose to spend it hating.
I mean, yeah, that's what it comes down. I mean, I'm a busy guy between this podcast, which we put off for 2 months, and the writing work I do for the Horizon League, and now Lombardi Ave through Fansided, it is. I don't have that much free time. I mean, college football just came out too. Like, pick up a controller, man. I got shit to do. I give them, like I said, it's almost impressive. It's almost impressive that something triggered them that bad that I said to have like 3 burner accounts, including, I'm not sure if this is the same person that made the one and they're replying to themselves, or if they saw, hey, this is kind of funny, I'm gonna make a burner account so I can interact with this, because of how like over the top stupid it is. But
I think someone's just looking for something to do.
I mean, yeah, and for what it's worth, I very much want to get into the world of pro wrestling and be like a manager for like a heel. I want to be the next Paul Heyman. I think that'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, I think you could be a good Paul Heyman.
I appreciate that, and I really kind of want to just have a day to do that with these people, but I don't care that much either.
Yeah, it's a fine line you have to walk, because one, you want to maintain that professional standard that you're attempting to put forth, and on the other hand, it's like, you guys are just so stupid, and someone needs to tell you that you're stupid.
Well, I mean, it's also kind of the fine line of, do you give it a platform because it's so stupid?
Right.
Do you kind of play along with it, or do you just like say, hey, it is this level of stupid where it's not even that fun?
Yeah. I think you just keep doing what you're doing. Engage a little bit when you feel like it. Otherwise, just let it roll off.
I mean, yeah, like I said, it doesn't bother me whatsoever. I find it incredibly funny. And I'm going to continue finding it funny, because I can't imagine that it's just going to stop. I mean, the only complaint I have is, I don't know if you have a notification set, because it's usually only when I tweet Green Bay stuff. So I don't know if they have a notification set, or if they just get bored on a random day and go through and try to find one. But I got to give it credit. Like I said, it's almost credit worthy if it wasn't so stupid. Like, it's not even creative stuff. But that's kind of where I'm at. So tomorrow is usually one of their days. So I guess if that's your thing, go check it out. Go live in my mentions. I would say hi, I guess. But my biggest complaint is that at this point, just follow me. Don't.
Well,
don't
right.
You're there on the, set the notification, or don't, just kind of come by randomly. I do have some fairly entertaining stuff that's not just about UW Green Bay.
Give the guy a follow. Quote some tweets.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to interact and you're going to have this level of making multiple burner accounts or having multiple burner accounts engage, I mean, you could at least do me a solid. And look, the UW Milwaukee coach follows me on Twitter, or on X, whatever you want to call it. He follows me. Bart Lundy, who I want to hate so bad, but I mean, the guy is a pretty stand-up guy. But Bart Lundy follows me.
Yeah,
so I'm sure he doesn't love everything I have out there. I'm sure he probably uses it for bulletin board material at some point or another.
Probably.
If that's still a thing, but just throw me the follow. Give me some that's my complaint. That's my noogie of the whole thing. If you're gonna do this, make it worth my while too.
Right.
Because I'm gonna be honest, I don't even see half the notifications when they happen. Like I usually catch it like a couple days later, but. Yeah. Make it worth my while of why I should even look at my notifications.
I agree.
Anyway, Green Bay Packers. This has always been a very heavily Green Bay Packer based show. That's not going anywhere. The last time we recorded was the debut of the schedule release. I believe last time we went through, Dylan, we kind of did like an initial win-loss prediction. Vegas has the over-under on win total at 9.5.
I feel like my initial reaction to that is a little low.
Below 9.5, you want to go with the under?
No. I feel like 9.5. I feel the over. I would take the over all day on that.
I would as well.
I'm saying I think Vegas placed I placed it 9.5 too low. I think they're who are the big challenges going to be this year. You could make an argument that the Vikings will pose somewhat of a threat. The Lions are going to be tough. The 49ers are going to be tough.
And you don't play the 49ers in the regular season, I don't think, this year. I don't have the schedule up in front of me, but...
No, they do. Yeah, they do.
Do they? What's the schedule?
So we're opening up in Brazil against the Eagles. Yeah, I think that's going to be a tough game.
Yeah.
Then we're hosting Indianapolis.
That could be. I don't want to get out too far ahead. They do have a young quarterback coming off injury.
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson is very talented. They kind of have some turnover there.
Let's for sake of argument, let's say 1-1. I would say 1-1 through there is a reasonable prediction.
Reasonable. I could see a path to 2-0. I don't see 0-2.
Let's go worst case scenario. Let's go 1-1 because, like you said, I don't see 0-2, but 1-1. Then we're going to be at Tennessee, so 2-1.
New coach.
Yeah. And then we're hosting the Vikings week 4.
Vikings early season. That's one that's going to be interesting.
Yes.
Vikings win total currently per these odds all coming courtesy of Oneida Casino Sportsbook. Vikings over under 7.5 with the under being the favorite on betting wise. So you're looking at like a 7-10 team in Minnesota. Playing them early in the season. You don't know who the quarterback's going to be. That could be kind of in that same territory where Sam Darnold might still be QB1, barring J.J. McCarthy coming in, just lighting the world up. I don't think that's going to happen. I hate saying this because he's a good guy, but that's typically around the territory where Aaron Jones gets his first injury for the season. So they'll be potentially on a backup running back. And I don't want to put too much stock into the new Packers defense yet. They haven't played a game. Reports out of training camp have been incredibly positive for the team as a whole, but not going to go, I'm not going to speculate until I see it. I'm planning on going on Saturday. But until that happens, until I can kind of see it in game action, don't want to get too far ahead of it. But they have some solid receivers. I don't necessarily trust the quarterback play out of the Vikings, and for what it's worth, I don't trust the running game either. So I can very much see a 3-1 or 4-0.
Yep. Let's see. Week 5, we're at the Rams.
That could be tougher than it has been. West Coast trips have not done well for the Packers as of late. The Rams, 8.5 win total.
Next, week 6, we're hosting the Cardinals.
I don't want to get too far ahead. It probably should be a win. I could very much see a path of 4-2 here. I think the Packers are better than the Rams, even when they're healthy. But given the overall circumstances of that West Coast road trip, you can't win them all. I think that's a very realistic one that you could drop.
So we're saying I think 4-2 through week 6, and then we're hosting the Texans.
That's gonna be a good game.
That will be a good game. That's gonna be a shootout, I think.
That's another one of those. Until I see the Jeff Hafley defense, and obviously by that point in the season, health is going to be a major factor. That's another one of those that a new defense, a Joe Barry defense, or even a Dom Capers defense, I'm probably giving to the Texans as an advantage. But from the reports out of the first 2 days of training camp practices, I would have a high standard for how that could go. And C.J. Stroud, very talented quarterback. They have some weapons down there. So by no means am I going to write them off yet, but that's one that a new defense and a new mindset and just a different way of attacking might be a pretty noticeable. That might be one of those games where like the turnaround is noticeable.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the most noticeable.
Yep. Let's see. Then we're at Jacksonville. I don't see us coming back from there with an L.
Yeah, that's gonna be one of those where, I don't want to. Trevor Lawrence, very talented quarterback. They have some weapons there too, but again, you look at the potential of this defense and what they are capable or could be capable of, given the athletic power that they contain and some of the bodies that they'll hopefully have available at that point still health wise, and kind of based on the principles of the concepts of the scheme of which they plan to be running with those athletes. That one's going to be a tough one for Jacksonville. Should be advantage Green Bay. Now, what's the date on that one?
10/27.
So late October. Trip down to Florida, probably not too warm, all things considered. You probably shouldn't have to worry too much about cramping issues and stuff, but always potential when you head to southern Florida.
Yep. Let's see. Then we start in November. We are hosting the Lions. That's going to be a tough one. Lions are going to be tough this year.
They always are. And Detroit, it's again, this is one of those where I'm very curious on. I've said it a couple times on that new defense. I'll say it again. This is kind of a different way because, the last two that we've talked about with this new defense, it's been athletic quarterbacks. This one, you're kind of going against the true pro style quarterback in Jared Goff, who I think we have seen the ceiling a couple different times now. I don't believe in Jared Goff as a franchise kind of guy. I think he's good enough for what they need him to be, given how aggressive they've been defensively. But I also will say, as a Packer, this is a Packer biased show and giving some hope to our listeners. That one very much strikes me as a very possible, the Detroit had been showing some cracks at the end of last season. They did make the NFC Championship game this last year in part due to a favorable scheduling in the playoffs, but you still have to win. You can only beat who you got to beat.
Yep.
But Detroit at 10.5 win total per Oneida. That seems like that could very well be the case as well. Very close odds, even as the under at plus 110, over at minus 135. So you're not really making money on that pick. That's one I'd probably stay away from as betting. But that's one that, are the cracks that we saw towards the end of the regular season last year, are those here to stay? Are those indeed cracks, or was it just some fatigue? I think, as the new coaching staff comes in, I think athletically speaking, Green Bay should be a pretty good matchup for them.
Then we are going into the bye week. So
great timing for a bye week. Not too deep, not too early.
Yep. And then we have our second bye week in a row. We are at Chicago.
See, that's one of those that I think is going to be sneaky.
I'm just talking trash, man.
I understand that, and I don't want to get too far ahead here. I think they are going to suck. Chicago, that is. Chicago has an over-under win total of 8.5 this season.
Oh, that seems...
With the under being at plus 130, so you bet 10, you win 13 plus your initial 10, so $23 if you bet 10. That seems high. I don't foresee Chicago being that much better because of Caleb Williams, but that's also because I don't believe in Caleb Williams that much. I mean, they've got enough talent where he shouldn't suck at the skill positions. Like, they have enough receivers where
They have a very solid receiving core this year.
They have a great receiving core. I'll be the first to say it, but
Probably the best in
can't
the North.
I really can't foresee Caleb Williams being that much of a gamer in the NFL. I mean, the cracks of when he would play against some of the top tier teams in the Pac-12 last year, he didn't look great. He looked pedestrian at times. This isn't the home run that some draft analysts made it seem like it would have been a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
This is the home run that Andrew Luck was, or for that matter, even that Trevor Lawrence was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Trevor Lawrence got his first year wasted by, the hell's his name? Totally blanking on it, but he had his first year wasted in Jacksonville. He's finally getting a competent coach. So, Urban Meyer. So it's not. This seems more Justin Fieldsy than it does Trevor Lawrence or Andrew Luck to me.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's kind of going to be a very telling spot this season for where Chicago is going to be. You know, you said that should be what, week 9, week 10, somewhere in there. By then, that's a lot of time for defenses to figure Caleb Williams out.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't on purpose, by the way. I want to be very clear about that. But the point still stands that I think they're very comparable.
Yeah, no, I agree. Obviously, time will tell. It's not like he doesn't have any help at receiving core this year. So if he's able to perform even at an average NFL quarterback level, he could produce.
Right.
But we'll see. You never know. It's Chicago, poverty franchise. So, and then going into week 11, that's when things get tough. Tough 3-game stretch here. Hosting San Francisco, then hosting Miami, then at Detroit.
And keep in mind, Miami will be a short week. That is Thanksgiving. I believe that's how the NFL did the schedule. Is that's back-to-back Thursday games actually for Green Bay and Detroit. Detroit always playing Thanksgiving Day. Green Bay hosting Thanksgiving night for the Thursday Night Football primetime game. Correct me if I'm wrong. That should be a Thursday, Dylan, for the Detroit game.
That is a Thursday, and we will be playing San Francisco on that previous Sunday. So that's a very short turnaround.
You probably drop one in there. I don't know which one it is. I hope it's not Thanksgiving because I already have tickets for that game. But if you can take 2 out of 3 in that span,
that's a win.
That's a win. 1 out of 3. Obviously, you can't go 0-3 in that span. But 1 out of 3, given that stretch, isn't a total failure. Obviously, it's less than ideal, but I don't foresee a 3-0 window coming out of that. But that's just as a Wisconsin sports fan and trying to be somewhat realistic.
But you never know.
It's true. Well,
that's why
depending on how this Jordan Love contract goes.
That's very true. Very true. Let's see. And we're going to get a little bit of relief here. We're going to be at Seattle. And then the following week hosting New Orleans.
Oh, 2 not slouches. I mean,
not slouches, but they're not the like the 3 juggernauts we're going to be.
Seattle's a tough place to play, especially coming off 3 straight tough games. I mean, that could be very grueling. But
and then we're finishing up the season at Minnesota, and then last regular season game of the year, hosting the Chicago Bears on January 5th.
And you know what? That could be one where maybe a Caleb Williams coming out party, because I can't, by then, if things go the way that we're kind of talking about them and hoping for them to go, that very well could be one of those games that a lot of starters not playing for the Packers.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows? Maybe that's the season game for Caleb Williams.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, overall, looking at the schedule overall, I mean, I think 10-7 is a very safe bet. I think 11-6 or even 12-5 is realistic.
That's kind of where I'm sitting too, if I'm being honest. I mean, the 9.5 at betting odds at -139 as of right now. So you put $10 in, you come home with 17.19 is what your purse would be. $7.19 profit plus your 10 back. So yeah, it's just one of those that seems, barring injury, like a good bet.
Yeah,
Again,
if I were,
you got to get the Jordan Love deal done, which is how I think we're going to wrap up tonight here, Dylan. Just kind of talking about, but Jordan Love deal has been rumored to be close the last couple days. If I'm a betting man, which I am, but there's no where to bet on this. I'm
sure you could find somewhere to bet on it.
I would expect this to be done before Monday of next week. I don't know if it'll be in time for Saturday when I'm at practice, but I very much could see this being done by Monday at the latest. We've seen some stuff out of Sean Clifford where he's been looking to take a next step, but he had a really rough couple days. The safeties have gotten the better of him the last few days. So,
well, looking at it from either one of the perspectives, of being Green Bay management and Jordan Love, you want to be out there practicing. I totally respect the position that Jordan Love is taking here, where I'm not practicing until this contract is taken care of. I get it. I'm all for player empowerment here, and I will support this kind of behavior every step of the way. But you want him out there practicing, and if you're Jordan Love, you want to be out there practicing, because you think about how many practices have they had so far that he's behind.
2 or 3.
So he's 3 practices behind, and I know he's there every single day. I know he's doing the work. I'm not saying he's not doing the reps, but he's looking at the film. He's doing this. He's doing the study. He's doing the book part of the job. But he's got to get out there and start taking some throws and start taking some hits and stuff like that. And I'm sure management wants him out there doing that too. So I don't think there's pressure to get it done for fear of him going anywhere else. So I think that's relatively safe.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that both sides want the same thing.
Yes.
This is more of a formality. If you're Jordan Love, which as it sits right now, your contract I think for this year is $10.5 million.
Mm-hmm.
If you believe, and the team believes, that you're a $35 to $40 million quarterback a season, you're underpaid by about $30 million. Then I wouldn't be practicing either. I'll fully admit that. That's kind of a gamble. You can in theory get hurt even with as much protection as goes into practice with the quarterback, especially your franchise quarterback. They're probably at a point where you're just looking at incentives and what the bonuses are going to be. I feel like overall money is probably pretty close. Maybe this sounds so stupid because $1 million for you or me right now probably changes our life. But where you're looking at $1 million or $2 million, and depending on how the couple $100,000 go in incentives and everything to that effect, I mean, it's not even real money. I mean, it is, but it's not. It's a formality, and it's a little bit of hardball from each. I don't know if you saw this on Twitter today or not, Dylan, but there was an analyst out of ESPN Milwaukee who was saying that Jordan Love is selfish for not practicing, comparing him to Tua, who is practicing with the same kind of contract situation. But
I would disagree with that entirely. I mean, if this is Jordan Love, I think, is playing it the smart way. He's putting pressure on the management to get the deal done. Where Tua He's not putting any. He's out there practicing. He's doing the work without a guaranteed contract.
Jordan Love also has one more playoff win than Tua Tagovailoa does.
Yeah. No, I'm siding with Jordan Love here. If I was in his shoes, I'd be doing the same thing. If you want me to be your franchise quarterback, then let's get this contract done and let's get to work. That's what I would say.
100% agree.
Yep.
All right, Dylan, let's put a bow on this thing. This is where we pick what we are rooting for in the upcoming week and go about this however you would like to. But what is your root for the next week or so of Wisconsin sports or sports as a whole?
That's tough. You want to see our local teams doing well. I will be doing my best to watch Giannis and leading Greece against Canada, 2 p.m. Central Time on Saturday. That is the opening day of men's Olympic basketball. So I'm hoping he's Greece's flag bearer this year, which is really cool. So I'm hoping he can lead his country and succeed. And I know he's going to be very proud. He's going to be representing the Milwaukee Bucks, granted for another country, but he's still a Milwaukee Buck, so we gotta root for him. Otherwise, I'm just excited to watch that Olympic basketball start up. Obviously, I'm paying more attention to the Brewers than I've ever been in my life, so I'm enjoying seeing them do well, and I hope they continue to do well. See if I can watch that Blizzard game, whether it be it in person or on YouTube. It's going to be a good weekend for sports.
It sure is. I'm going to take the Blizzard as my root for here. Also, obviously, watching the Brewers, always a priority for myself. I do got to ask, I'm going to ask you this before we get to our Ticket Smarter ticket of the week. Your go-to non-traditional Olympic sport. What's your favorite one to watch that is not, like baseball, basketball, soccer? Your specialty Olympic sport.
When I think Olympics, I always think track and field. And I ran in high school, I ran anything between a 200 and an 800, which is 200, 400, 800. I like watching the 400, one lap, as fast as you can go. What else do they got going on in here? Field hockey. I'd like to watch some field hockey this year. I really would. I don't know. I like watching it. It's tough. It's like, it's hockey on a field, but tennis. I'm sorry. Swimming. I'd like to see what kind of records Katie Ledecky is going to break this year. She's well on her way to becoming one of the most decorated Olympians ever. So that'll be exciting. Otherwise, I'm just be watching a lot of basketball. A lot of the basketball. What about you? What are you excited for?
I gotta say, my two favorite sports to watch in the Olympics that are considered non-traditional, with an honorable mention to ping pong or table tennis is what they call it.
Yeah.
Watching ping pong at that level it's witchcraft.
Table tennis is what they're calling it in the Olympics. It's table tennis.
But it's witchcraft either way.
Yes. Yeah.
I am a big fan of water polo and handball. Handball is an incredible sport that I'm surprised has never caught on here.
Yep.
Because that is, it's fast paced. It's a great combination of like basketball and soccer. Again, I'm surprised it never caught on here.
I played intramural handball in GB at GB.
I played it high school gym and intramural as well, but It is something that I would love. Could you imagine getting hyped up, getting a couple beers in your system, and go watching pro handball somewhere?
That'd be awesome.
Awesome.
That would be awesome.
All right, Dylan. Putting a bow on this thing, our ticket of the week through Ticket Smarter is going to be the Green Bay Rockers versus Wausau Woodchucks at Capital Credit Union Park, Saturday, July 27th, 3:05 p.m. Tickets are available through Ticket Smarter. Use code ROOTS10 ROOTS 10 for $10 off every single order you make. That's code ROOTS10, $10 off your Ticket Smarter order. And that's going to be our episode. Episode 153, our return from summer break, is in the books for Justin and Sean and Ramsey and Shawna who aren't here. I'm Eric. That's Dylan. We're out. See ya.
Peace.